What's going on, everybody? It's Ted again here with the CountdownCityGeeks.com. I got another fantastic interview for you. The director, writer, and producer for the brand new horror thriller The Sound is one and only Brendan Devane. How are you, sir?
I am excellent, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. This is such a fantastic project. I noticed that as I get a little bit older, I'm starting to have a little bit more of a fear of heights. And so this film really struck an unusual phobia for me that I am realizing more and more each day and month that I'm having. This is all about a story about a group of extreme rock climbers that are going on this almost like a cursed cliff, and they come into contact with something they know not about, and what happens after that is just a an incredible sort of roller coaster ride of emotions and terror. Talk to us about where the inspiration for this film came from.
Yeah, sure. I was watched the awesome documentary Free Soul, like a lot of people did with Alex Honnold, and I
Yeah.
read a review of that later on where someone called it the best horror movie they'd ever seen, and they were being serious about it, right? And as I'm old and broken, my body is now, but I used to be a rock climber, an ice climber, and mountain climber when I was younger. I'm not particularly scared of heights or that being in that environment. So the light bulb kind of went off. They're like, well, that's kind of scary to a lot of people. Maybe if we shot a film or did a story, a kind of like a horror thrill on the side of a big wall rock climb, that it would just build in the tension to it, right? So that there's always an underlying tension. If they're not being attacked by something, they could still fall 1,000 feet to their death at any time, right? So that aspect kind of came together. And then I'm a real big fan, like most people, of John Carpenter's The Thing. Um,
Yes.
it terrified me as a child, still terrifies me now. I have a hard time watching The Thing still now at 50 years old. It's just brilliant, right? The whole thing is
Right.
brilliant. And it was contained horror before that was even a phrase, right? When you think about what Carpenter did there, he put 10, 12 people on a base in Antarctica, and then they're just stuck there with this unseen alien that is bouncing around between them. And so I definitely took a lot of inspiration for that. And my elevator pitch for this film was always Free Solo times The Thing. And yeah, that's kind of how it all came together.
I love that reference. You mentioned the thing. I also love the prequel that they did for the thing. It sort of really fit in perfectly with Carpenter's vision, if you ask me. This movie, I feel like you were able to incorporate such wonderful cinematography and techniques. A lot of drone usage. I feel like people might overuse drone cameras from time to time, but you, sir, you guys use them, I believe, in like the best ways to really, create the tone and the scale for the audience using them. Talk to us about your cinematographer and the collaborations and the discussions that you guys had in making sure you conveyed all of those things to the audience.
Yeah, it was a challenge because I basically made two movies at once here. One with a professional rock climbers, with a
Yeah.
professional rock climbing photography crew, and then one with our standard actors, our SAG actors, and a standard film production crew inside the studio and other things. And so, yeah, there was a lot of collaboration and talking between Ryan Galvin, who was the DP of the whole film, but he doesn't rock climb, and there's no way that a professional film crew is going to go anywhere near some of the places that we film. So I had to have a professional rock climbing crew do those shots. And our drone operator, Sean Haverstock, is a rock climber himself. And
Mm.
so having that idea of these are the shots that I'm saying him that he likes because he's a rock climber himself and knew where to position the drone to get the best kind of angles and views to accentuate that they really were 1,500 feet in the air, was very important. So I knew pretty much right away that I couldn't film this myself, obviously, but film it in the way that almost all films are filmed, right? That I had to film this with the approach of making an actual real like nonfiction rock climbing film with professional rock climbing cinematographers. And so that's how we got those shots. certainly when we went into post and we were picking out shots, right, to edit into the film, there, I mean, I left a ton of the most amazing drone shots on the cutting room floor, right? Because I mean, the movie could have been 2 hours long of just these super cool drone shots of the climbers. But yeah, I'm really very happy that we're able to. It was very important to me to be able to get out of the studio. A lot of times in lower budgets like this, you're hampered by your budget, which means that
Right.
you can't go big in your world building, right? And you can't
Right.
stuck in this room, or you're stuck in your house, or you're stuck in this office, or wherever your set is. You kind of can't expand it from there due to budget, right? So for this, it was really important to give the audience these massive exposure shots, and that took going out into the real world and doing it.
I loved it. Like I mentioned, you guys utilized it perfectly. It's been overdone, overused so many times, where people just do them in other movies just because it's kind of cool. But here, it really creates that immersive experience for the audience. And yeah, it was done so well. Talk to us about the training for your actors. How much training do they have to go through preparation for some of these shots, and to make sure you pulled off, this realism that they're this hardcore expert climbing crew.
It was really important during the casting process that for the actors who were portraying climbers, that they had some sort of climbing background in their own personal lives. And so I kind of pulled a Point Break, and instead of casting actors and teaching how to rock climb, I cast rock climbers who had SAG cards and could act, the same way that they cast surfers behind Patrick Swayze, because it was easier to have surfers act than teach surfers or actors how to surf,
There's
right?
the surf,
It,
yeah.
yeah, it takes years and years of muscle memory to learn how to place rock climbing gear, and the little things that, sure, if we were a Marvel film, I could send them to 6 weeks of rock climbing boot camp where they're going to learn all this sort of thing, but that just wasn't possible for this. So
Yeah.
it was definitely, we dug into their background and we cast people who had rock climbing experience. And if you went watch through the credits, those pictures next to the actors who, that's them rock climbing in their own personal lives for fun.
Wow.
So yeah, there wasn't a ton. Now, a few of them did need some training, because at the end of the day, you're going to cast somebody who can act, right? If I'm the director, and I've got two choices. I've got an okay actor with a great climber, but a really awesome actor who can't climb so well. I'm going to choose acting every time, because it's a
Yeah.
film. You can't have bad acting, or at least try not to have it. So a couple of them did need a little bit more training in climbing gyms, but the rest of them, all knew what they were doing when they came on set. We also had Adrian Ballinger, who was the climbing consultant on the film, just summited Everest for the 10th time, runs his own guiding company out of Lake Tahoe, married to Emily Harrington, who's one of the best rock climbers in the world. He was on
Wow.
set every day. They're making sure, this is the way this cam goes in, this is the way this nut goes in, this is what you do, this is what you do, in case anybody had any questions. So it was really at the forefront of our mind to really portray rock climbing as authentically as possible. I'm a big fan of Cliffhanger and Vertical Limit because they're super entertaining, fun movies, right? They're absolutely terrible at portraying rock climbing and climbing in general. For those movies, it doesn't really matter, but for this movie, it did matter that it had to be authentic. So we had to bring people in who could help us with that.
Absolutely. When reading about this movie, a name quickly jumped out at me, James Iha, who is a legendary rock guitar player from Smashing Pumpkins. I was a fan of his then. But then back in 2004-ish, he joined my all-time favorite alternative band, A Perfect Circle. And so you, sir, had Mr. Iha as a composer on this film, which I just found absolutely incredible. He's such a quirky guy. Fans love him. Talk to us
Yeah.
about your conversations with James, what he brought to you, sort of your reactions to what the output he gave, all that good stuff.
Yeah, James, what an amazing guy, and great person, and obviously talented musician. I'm just turned 52. So in 1991, I graduated from high school. I was seeing the first Lollapalooza. I had Jane's Addiction posters in my room. I saw Pearl Jam before they were famous, and Soundgarden, and knew who Mother Love Bone was. So I'm connected personally to that kind of the 90s music and 90s grunge. And when we were sort of, myself and the music supervisor were thinking about music for the film, I was like, well, it's a rock climbing film. We got to have rock, right? We got to have rock for it. And so we started looking at composers, and James' name came up, and we talked to him, and it turns out James is like one of the biggest The Thing fans ever. Like, he loves The Thing. And so he
Wow.
was really drawn to this film because of the allegories there and how similar the film was. And yeah, working him with was great. I'm a big fan of hiring talented people and then letting him do their work. I mean, what am I going to tell him? Oh, you're using the wrong chord there. Like, come on. So basically, you sit down and you spot the film together. And for me and the score, it's all about the emotion and the vibe that you're trying to accentuate, right? Like, if you take Baby Elephant Walk and you put it behind Friday the 13th, it's not scary. Well, early Friday the 13th, it's not scary anymore. It's some sort of comedy, right? So music can change the vibe of a scene incredibly. Doesn't matter what the dialogue is or what's visual in the scene. The audio behind it is really what I believe is what gives people the vibe of the scene. And so you sit down and you spot the film, and I just go, like, in this scene, this is what we're looking for. In this scene, this is what we're looking for. And I make sometimes references to, it's easier, some of the people I've worked with in the jam band circle, when they're on like fishes on a 20-minute jam, there's peaks and valleys, right? You bring the audience up, and then you drop down. It's almost like a saw curve, right? And it's almost the same way as I approach film scores. You're building the audience, then the tension releases. And then you build, and then you build, and you build, and then the tension releases. And
Mm.
so I wasn't telling James specific themes. I basically was like, we want, a sci-fi, a sci-fi kind of thriller horror thing, and that's what he came up with, and I think he did an awesome job. He composed everything and performed it all himself too. So, very cool to work with him, and what a great person.
Amazing guy. He's gonna have to come over to your house so that you guys can jam. I see all the pedals you got on the floor behind you. They got the drum kit set up. Yeah,
Uh,
you've dabbled a little bit, looks like.
Yeah, before I was in the film industry, I was in the live music industry. I was a roadie for bands. I was a drum tech, a stage manager, worked the first Bonnaroo Festival and did New Orleans Jazz Fest way back when I was younger, and living on tour bus and stuff like that. So sound and music is a core part of my existence. And even though I'm not a professional musician, I make music all the time. It's crappy music, but it's fun for me. In fact, if I'm writing a script, I usually have a guitar next to me, and when I want to take a break from filmmaking, I'll just pick up a guitar and just play for a while.
I love it. I love it. You can't see mine, but my Ovation acoustic is like right off frame over here. The movie is called The Sound. It's in theaters and video on demand on June 27th. Brandon, I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds here. I want you to sell this movie. Why should fans go check out The Sound when it drops? Go.
Well, it's an original idea that you've probably never seen before. If you like rock climbing, it's a movie for you. If you don't like rock climbing, you're scared of heights, it's a movie for you. If you just want to sit down and eat popcorn and be entertained for an hour and a half, it's a movie for you.
Go check it out. Find more information about the movie on their social media handles at The Sound Movie on Instagram and TikTok. Brendan, thank you so much for your time, sir. Congrats on the film.
Thank you so much, Ted.